following podcast is Wrestling Daft and is scheduled for 1 hour. Maybe more. It has no real time limits, making their way into your ears. First, from a place called Barneston, he is the Pyramid. Rab Grado.
It's going to be the funniest show ever because I'm all about the comedy and the money, baby.
How much you gonna pay?
And his partner, the top end of Stevenson.
From Mexico City to Beef Community Centre, I've got stories that are going to blow your mind.
Hello and welcome to Wrestling Daft. My name is the bold Rab Florence, and across the table from me, the virtual table, it's miles long, this table, is the bold Grado himself. How you doing, Grado?
Good afternoon, Rob. It's good to see you. Good to see you looking well. How's everything? How's your life? What you been up to this week, Biggie?
Everything's good. I've been doing a wee bit of filming. Actually, doing a wee bit of filming. I was doing a wee bit of filming with Des Clark on Des' show Des Doesn't Do.
Was he getting a new series of that?
Yeah, did a wee bit of that.
Good to know they've been invited back for a second series.
Step up. They've got a wee bit more money this series, so they're just trying to kind of get the big stars in.
Makes sense.
But so that was good fun. It was good to do a bit of filming, but it was all like measuring tape was out and all that, 2 meters apart, masks sewing. It was carry on, mate. It's carry on.
I'm taking it, knowing Des and knowing you, and you probably can't disclose what you're doing. I don't know if you're allowed to, but is it Des doesn't do computer games?
I'm not allowed to say, mate. I'm not allowed to say, but I'll give you a clue. It's something to do with abattoirs, like slaughtering animals in an abattoir. Like Des has never hung a pig up on a hook and slit its throat and watched it die.
You're the man to go to for that.
I'm the man, mate.
You and Shah.
That's why I moved out to Helensburgh. Know what I mean? Big Shah's a butcher in real life. So that's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing when you think about that. Well, let's see what the punters have been up to this week. You live our lives vicariously through the activities of our wonderful punters out there. Okay, so we've got Alistair Dunlop got in touch. Darth Lobster on Twitter if you want to follow him. I don't recommend it. There's something weird about him. He says, at Wrestling Daft, surely the Ultimate Warrior was maybe a bucket drinker. The way he'd come to the ring and shaking the ropes, he looked like he'd downed 2 bottles of the stuff and was ready for a square go. And he's referring here to the WWE wines that have came out.
WWE wines?
Yeah. Undertaker wine and Ultimate Warrior wine. How weird is that?
It's bizarre, but then, so they've obviously had wine that they need to attach to a wrestler. Well, they're not going to do Ric Flair, are they? Because that's just, you know.
No. They could do Adam Rosé.
Shiraz Samuels.
Shiraz Samuels, very good. Charlotte Denay Flair.
Yeah.
What else have we got?
The Grape Cali.
The Grape Cali. Well, we're not going to beat that.
That's brilliant.
We're not going to beat the Grape Cali. Well done, mate. Well done, mate. Now, last week we were talking about what football teams should wrestlers support, and Grado was trying to think up a witty one for Celtic based on a tainted title. He failed to do so, but Jimmy Norris has came to his aid and says that Triple H should support Celtic as Bischoff just awarded them the World Heavyweight Championship, if you remember.
And I thought that was brilliant. I seen that on Twitter this week and I popped big time for that. That's brilliant.
I'm glad you enjoyed it so much. And Willem adds that surely Orange Cassidy would be a Rangers fan. What do you think, Grado?
That's a good one as well, mate.
Well, girl, just making sure you liked it, mate. And thanks to Ian Drew Dice Clay, who posted a video, especially for Grado, of Michael Barrymore singing Coolio's I'll See You When You Get There. Can we hear a wee bit of that?
See you when you get there. We've been around some places, found interesting faces, whether young or old, no one left out in the cold. Take a long look around in places of renown, no one would wear a frown. And everybody got on down, sang a song or played along. The people that we meet came right up off the street. With a song and a dance, we gave everyone a chance. Yeah, we gave everyone a chance. I'll see you when you get there.
Beautiful.
That is superb. I saw Ian tagged us in that, and it did. I want to ask you, Rab, how would you feel about getting Parky on the show? Parky being his real name, and
let's get him on the show. I would love that.
Let's do it, man.
I would love to interview him. I really would.
How do we suggest him? I was thinking about getting him on the Legends Lottery on Football Daft, but I'd rather get him on Wrestling Daft. John, what do you think?
Well, Barrymore seems like he would be a wrestling fan, more of a wrestling fan than a football fan.
He's a football fan. But I think he would be into the wrestling, and I think Barrymore might have some stories about old World of Sport era wrestlers as well.
It's funny you say that.
On that variety circuit that he was on when he was coming up, he must have came across some of these boys. You know what I mean?
Mate, it's funny you say that because I remember being at Ibrox and speaking to John Gregg, and when I told him I was a wrestler, he started naming all these wrestlers that he drank with in the day, because obviously he was in that scene, the kind of all the celebrity folk stuck together, and obviously back in the day, the wrestlers, the British wrestlers, they were celebrities.
Aye, and they were, and they were doing all the kind of public speaking dinners and all that, and he would cross paths.
Is John Gregg's pals with Big Daddy? Is that what you're trying to say here?
He don't think it was Big Daddy. There was
he tagged with Big Daddy.
Let's just say that John Gregg is pals with Big Daddy.
John Gregg tagged with Big Daddy back in the day.
What's that?
He tagged with him, Big Daddy.
It was something like, I'm sure he said that.
Big Daddy played for Rangers. Big Daddy played. He only played once. He came off the bench once, just for like 10 minutes.
That's right.
But he was actually one of the fittest players in the Rangers team.
No, I do believe that. It was maybe not just the reserves he played for. I think he come on. I think he was involved in some sort of reserve league with Rangers until he hung up his studs for his boots.
It could have been, mate. But let's get Barrymore on it. And by the way, mate, that wee song there, you were looking for new entrance music, weren't you? Why don't you get Barrymore to sing your entrance theme? That'd be amazing. Get Barrymore to do your entrance theme. It's
funny because you know how we always get these things suggested to us. Like, I've had stuff this week for ideas for a documentary, and I'm like, these are good, but this is a better one. I want to go and talk to Michael Barrymore and see how he's getting on. Social distance and all that shit, but I want to talk about his career, everything else. I'd love to do that. Grado meets.
Maybe no everything else.
And do you know what? I'll be raging if he ends up on one of the maybe a James English podcast or something like that.
Louis Theroux must have done Barrymore, surely. Louis Theroux.
I don't think he has.
Has he not? That's a good one from Louis Theroux.
Right, news alert. Sorry, boys. News alert for Westy. If you have this month's Wrestle Crate, there's a colouring book in it, and Grado's one of the people you can colour in.
Tell you that.
That's cool. Wrestle Crate, by the way, is a thing you can subscribe to, right? And you get sent out a load of merch every month stuff. So, colouring book in it this time.
That's good. I went and done a thing with for Wrestle Crate last year. I had to sign 2,000 pictures, which, by the way, is a graft. An absolute graft. And I don't think not one person has tweeted me to say that they got it in one of their Wrestle Crates. So
your wrist must be hanging off you after doing that, mate.
And in fact, bollocks, I went and eBayed myself to check, and there's a couple in there for about $7.99. So if you were unlucky to get any for Wrestle Crate, you will get my autograph on eBay.
Wow. Right, now, John has done his classic thing here and gave me a picture to talk about. I just don't see the point in talking about this picture, John, because people can't see it.
Well, if you get on the Patreon, we'll put it on the Patreon, the video version. But this really popped me. I thought it was brilliant.
Well, it was for Yes Valgarin, and sent us a picture of Roman Reigns holding Jay Uso's face up to the camera after battling him with a caption, "When you're out boozing your wee bro, and your ma FaceTimes you to ask if he's okay." And it is funny. Go and take a look on our Patreon. We're so sorry we're talking about this. Pablo's Vault of Horror has brought it to our attention an advert for Wish where you can buy a baby grow for only $17, which would make for decent wrestling gear. A baby grow for a grown man? That's weird. A men's adult one piece. That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And if you see the pattern that's got, and wee baby writing
Little Boy. It's a good idea for a wrestler's name, actually. Little Boy Florence. I could be. Little Boy Florence.
Little Boy Florence.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I like that. And on Twitter, we asked you to use a name for Grado's airline, because he spent the last few shows just talking about his time in Airline Simulator. That's not what it's called. Flight Simulator is called Airline Simulator. Fuck's sake. John, thank God we're not doing a computer game podcast. John would have us finished. Richie says, Dingus, someone who never knows what's going on, but you love them anyway. appropriate since Grado hasn't seen a wrestling show or an event in full since 2002.
Why do people get that impression?
Ross suggests easy jet.
That's incredible.
It's a belter, isn't it?
That's brilliant.
Smithers 790 suggests Air Force One. Air as in AYR, air.
Perfect like that
Very
one.
good.
But, aye.
Xander suggested Tapender.
No bad. Getting there.
Tapender. The Bert says, shame it's not a boat sim because it's your sail, would be my shout. Well, it isn't a boat sim, but credit to you for getting on the show anyway. Graham says, I'm a wrestler. I'm a wrestler T. Surely it would be right. I'm a wrestler T. And Alistair suggested the Lowlander. Or TN Airways. It's good, right?
These are good.
Very good. And Scottish Wrestling Network suggested total non-stop aviation. That's good, right?
That's the one.
That's the one, isn't it? That's beautiful. That's a winner. Now, if you want to get in touch with us about any of that or just random wrestling-related stuff, you get us on Twitter at Wrestling Daft, on Insta at Wrestling Daft Podcast, and just Wrestling Daft on Facebook. Or email us at wrestlingdaft@gmail.com. Now, every week we like to separate the good for the bad in wrestling, the WWE 2K19 from the WWE 2K20s. I don't know if 2K19 was that good either, to be honest. What you should have done there was the WWF No Mercies from the WWE 2K20s. All right, mate. Let's just keep me right with the computer game stuff.
You can write these. You're the comedy writer, Rab. You write these things.
It's time for Bury and Putover, and my goodness me, do I want to put something over.
Right,
this
let
week.
me guess.
Have a guess what I'm wanting to put over.
Roman Reigns versus his brother.
Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso is the best wrestling match I have seen in years.
Yes, absolutely right. I thought it was fucking brilliant.
It's the best wrestling match I have seen in years. I was completely blown away by it. I was completely blown away by Roman Reigns' work in that match. His character, and also see all the talking all the way through that you could hear all that story that was happening in the ring. You could hear they two talking to each other. That's something that's quite magical about this period in wrestling where they're able to do stuff like that, because with a live crowd you wouldn't have heard it quite as clearly, everything that was going on. We've really made it work for them. But I mean, Jey Uso just looked like a star as well in that situation. But also Roman Reigns he's always been special, right? He's always been great, Roman Reigns. That's the truth. Everybody's always known it. But this just proves just how great this guy is. Completely the total package. He's got that vest off now. He was there with his top off. He looked incredible. There's just something about him, man. He's really slipped into this heel role beautifully, as I think we all knew that he would. But I don't think anybody expected he would step up to this level. You know what I mean? And just the match in itself. Did you watch the match, Grado?
So, I mean, the night before I had a flight to Vegas, an overnighter. So I had a 12-hour shift and a 747.
Right, fair enough.
So I mean, I was, what do you call it? I was jet lagged, but I did manage to catch the first, I'd say, 12 to 15 minutes, and I did love it. I loved the pacing in it. Thought it was perfect pacing. Loved to see Roman Reigns with his top off. It was good to see him chest out and all that kind of thing. It was.
What I couldn't believe, Grado, was the match was already brilliant, and then when it got to the end and he was doing his becoming the tribal chief, I mean, see him the head of the table, see him, and it just kept going. It just kept going and battering him, battering him, and then the whole throwing in the towel stuff. And all of that, it was just amazing stuff.
It was old school. I liked it. What do you think he's going to? I liked that bit at the end where Heyman put the flowers out his neck.
Yep.
Do you think he'll use these flowers for now on? Do you think this might be?
I would like that. I would like that, but I just kind of feel that he can do what he wants now. You know what I mean? He just looks. I mean, that's whoever is going to be the guy that beats that Roman Reigns. It's going to will either make a star or it will. I mean, in my head, you know, I'm kind of thinking to myself, you've seen a lot of people going like that. Oh, he should fight The Rock. He should fight The Rock. You know what I mean? Let's hope he gets Rock at WrestleMania and they can fight over this whole legacy thing. But for me, I want to see Big E fighting him.
Wow, what a shout!
I want to see, that's all I want to see. I want to see this big baby face. You know what I mean? Such a baby face that everybody loves going against this heel who, by the time that match comes around, everybody will hate because Roman Reigns' work is so good.
Because and he's I think they've definitely shut up Bischoff. Did you see Bischoff on Twitter a couple of weeks ago?
No,
where's the heat in this? He just said something. Did you see this, John? Something about where's the heat? He pointed out about how there was no heat in this whole Roman Reigns stuff
thing.
Aye, and he's totally proved them completely wrong because that was different class and they needed something like that. I wonder what interests me. I wonder who was behind all that. I want to know who was in. Because it's easy to produce that. That'd be good.
This must be Heyman, right? It's easy to say this must be Heyman, but I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think it also has the feeling of a Vince thing.
Aye.
It has the feeling of Vince. It has the feeling of Vince storyline as well. You know what I mean? Vince loves all that kind of like I'm the main man in the family thing. You know what I mean? He loves all that, and it's just anyway. I just thought it was great. I also want to say before we go any further as well that show was brilliant. That show was a fantastic pay-per-view.
What was he doing with Nikki Cross? Why did she get taken off the show? Was it COVID related? No.
Was it COVID related?
It was COVID. There's Sheena and Nia. The women's tag match got pulled because of COVID, and Nikki as well was pulled out of that match because of that as well.
But is Nikki got it, or was it just because she's maybe been exposed to somebody that's had it leading up to it?
I'm not too sure, Grado. I mean, they're very kind of hush about who's got it and who's no, because there's been obviously problems in NXT with it as well. But just text Nikki, you'll find out if you text her. I've
not spoken to Nikki in a wee while actually. I don't want to text her. All right, mate, it's Grado. You get COVID then.
I just want to say as well, like it's the kind of show. That the AEWs of the world, that's what you dream of putting on a show like that. You know what I mean? That was WWE at its absolute best. And I have to give a shout out as well to that opening match on the show as well, the Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn match as well, which was also a belter of a match. You know what I mean? Just a cracking match, and all the stuff with the handcuffs and the handcuff through the earlobe and all that kind of stuff. Jeff Hardy coming in with a ladder and that. Loved it. And I really love Sami Zayn. I think Sami Zayn's great. Sami Zayn would be a great guy to get on for a chat. He would come and talk to us, I think. I'm saying that because I've seen him getting interviewed by somebody else on something, so he must be allowed to talk to people.
He wrestled in large lads.
Oh, we could talk to him about largs. Yeah, Dom just wants to put our Clash of Champions. Great show. Very true. Bronzello wants to put our the Heath for Impact segment. Cameos were amazing. People who took the piss out of that Vince McMahon GIF years ago, do you see it now? Roman looked like an absolute star. I want to say Barry Raw, awful this week, 3 years of my life, I'm not getting back. Ben wants to put over me for getting him to quit Twitter. He now has an extra hour a day.
Oh, that's nice.
I know. And Trent's mum, Sue, for showing FTR how to drive a truck properly. And he wants to bury John for saying that people who like jazz are numpties. Please make sure John doesn't get any share of my Patreon money. Mr. Brody Lee is getting buried for calling Cody a coward immediately after running off and leaving the Dark Order for a beating. John wants to bury Randy Orton's segment in the Legends locker room. The night vision was like some shit out of Splinter Cell. I thought it was funny. I liked the night vision goggles. I thought it was a funny thing. And wants to put out Alexa Bliss and The Fiend getting some Joker and Harley Quinn vibes for this. I don't know how I feel about this Fiend and Alexa Bliss thing, because it feels years too late doing the Harley Quinn kind of vibe. So I hope they don't really go in that direction. But Alexa Bliss has been good at doing it so far. Sandy wants to put all the Mysterios versus Rollins and Murphy feud. Good to see a bit of storytelling coming back. And the inevitable Murphy turning on Rollins will be epic. I agree with this, by the way. I agree with this. I'm loving that rivalry, and it feels like an old school Attitude Era storyline to me. Doesn't it?
You need to speak to John, as I say. I've kind of missed the wrestling this street.
Well, I think it does. I mean, it's dragged out a wee bit. But see, with the introduction of his daughter into it and his missus coming into it, it does have that kind of attitude. It's that, like you're saying, storylines. I mean, the Drew Randy stuff's been great.
Yep.
This stuff really starting to rumble on. And, obviously over in SmackDown, you've got the whole Reigns thing. it seems like they're maybe starting to turn a wee bit of a corner in terms of the kind of
Definitely. I think creatively they really are turning a corner. I mean, even things like the Bailey stuff and the stuff all across, there's stuff right through the card now where there's good storytelling, interesting storytelling happening. I think I think things have turned a corner.
I know that this podcast has been going on for years now, and I hardly ever watch your stuff. But last week I went and asked you what to watch, and you told me, and I did. I'm really annoyed at myself because this morning I had a wee bit of time, and instead of asking you what to watch this week, I watched the South Park Pandemic special, which aired last night in America, and it was all right. It was, but I wish I could come on here and speak, but I get very, very embarrassed about how I know nothing about the current goings on.
You bring a perspective of being a wrestler too. You don't actually need to watch it that much. You know what I mean?
But all the other wrestlers watch it. You see, fucking they're all talking shit about it.
But they're all strobs though.
Aye, they're all
strobs.
Correct.
Extreme Law Online wants to put all Roman Reigns being a great dickhead and wants to bury the WWE for no turning him heel years ago. Such a waste of time.
What about his turkey teeth, by the way?
I know. I don't know what's going on with his teeth. I quite like them now, though.
Aye.
Kev wants to put all WWE for keeping the championship on Drew. Would have been easy to change champ via a gimmick match. And wants to bury Roman Reigns as a heel. Just doesn't work for me. What?
Kev? Okay.
Kev, what are you talking about?
Everybody's allowed an opinion, Kev. Rab,
Sorry. Yep. Willie wants to put Reigns versus Jey Uso and the Intercontinental Ladder match for Clash of Champions. 2 tremendous matches for 2 completely different reasons. I couldn't agree more, Willie. You have got to be in the running for Listener of the Week with that part. And wants to bury Joey Ryan. No explanation needed.
So that name pop up in the last couple of days? Fucking hell.
Joey Ryan... I know it's a terrible thing to say, but he's not going to be missed, is he? Really, for the industry, it's not like we're going to.
Do you know? It shows a lot that it's managed to get out in a press conference or whatever press release that he's losing 20 grand a month. See, with this cunt, it's all about money. It's all about money. It always has been, and ever since that article that he'd done about how independent wrestling gave him the money to buy a £500,000 house. £1 million? I've said that twice. £1 million. $1 million house. Who the fuck needs to know that? Why do you need to brag about stuff like that? All the boys will take the piss out you behind your back. Get it up, you.
Well, all I've got to say about that is, Grado, you've been boasting about buying that big expensive yoke for the past few weeks. So,
True.
So, and that's...
And I'm a throttle. Don't forget the throttle.
Don't forget the throttle. John says Ring of Honor Pure has to go over. Everything AEW promised it would be. Burn, sick burn. Great to see decent wrestling back. And first time I watched Ring of Honor. And Gavin wants to bury the Reigns and Uso match. Right, just fucking delete that. What is he saying? What is this guy saying? Worst main event I've ever seen.
This is absurd.
What the fuck, man? I've flipped into a parallel universe here. Two cousins who probably wrestled their whole life together could have had a match for the ages, but they made it the most boring, slow squash match ever. Gavin, what are you talking about? They could have a match for the ages. What do you mean by that? Do you mean they could have been kicking out each other's finishers and all that and fucking flipping about like arseholes like we've been watching for the past fucking 6 or 7 fucking year? Fucking guys doing all their moves on each other and fucking kicking out, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it, Gavin. It's cunts like you, man. It's fucking cunts like Gavin are always like, I want to see him in the main event and him in the main event like that. What is it they fucking chant to go at fight forever. Fucking fuck off. Fucking fight forever. Fucking fuck you. Fight for fucking 15 minutes and get to fuck.
Rob, that's the best thing you've said on this podcast. I couldn't agree any more. When I read stuff like that, it gets so frustrating. It really does. Well done, Rab, that was fucking shit hot. You said exactly how I'd like to say if I had the brains to piece something like that together.
Gavin wants to put over John, however, for staying awake during the last podcast. He looked absolutely scunnered and looked like he was struggling to keep his eyes open. But the show must go on and he battled through it. What a pro.
I like Gavin. He's a lovely guy. Thank you very much for your Patreon money, Gavin. Thanks.
Okay.
Anyway, everybody's allowed an opinion. Gavin's allowed an opinion, but
no, he's not. He's not allowed that opinion.
It is frustrating, but because that's exactly what he wants. He wants drop down, hip toss, flip on off the bell. So duck under, no sell. Up you
he wants all that shite that every single fucking NXT main event seems to be. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them seems to be that. Every fucking Undisputed Era match is that. Sorry,
I
John.
watched that.
No offence to your boyfriends, but
But it is, man, because all of that matches, I seen the sign of the times is I remember I watched that, what do you call the big one? Keith Lee, when he wrestled, is it T-Bar now, but his name was Jajikovic or something like that, right? Remember the match they had, and I'm sitting there going, what a lot of shite. And I went on Twitter, and it was the best match. It looked so sore. Like that. Fucking slapping your hip. That, it looked great. Stiff shots. Bollocks. Give me a storytelling type of match any day. Woo!
it's now the part of the show where we invite you, the listeners, to do a run-in. Come on to the show, ask whatever you want. You might want to get our predictions for this weekend's NXT TakeOver. I hope you don't ask that, I really do, because me and Grado are going to be in trouble if you do ask that. Grado's going to be in even more trouble than me. And you'd asked to find out why Rab chose to pick floor 11 for the infamous elevator Burniston sketch. What is that? I don't know what that is. This week, let's welcome to the show young Stephen. You hear my wains?
Yeah.
Is that his profile picture or is that happening right now?
Guys, I'm doing a podcast.
Stephen, oh, there he is.
There he is.
There we go.
A good Hibs fan.
Oh, we got a Hibby. We've got a Hibby in the house.
A good Hibs fan. What I like to call the wee Celtic. I like to call them the wee Celtic, the kid on Celtic. I like to call them. Are you all right, Stephen?
I'm all right, Rab. How's yourself?
I'm good. How's yourself sounds very close to Grado's catchphrase, which is Grado.
How's yourself?
See, he's never. It's really hard to get Grado to do his catchphrase normally on this show. Grado, he's a proper full-throated, full-hearted.
No.
How's yourself? Come on, man. You never do it.
Why? I'm not performing monkey.
But just do it for Stephen because he's ran in and knew it's like a special thing for the guest.
Right, okay. Do you want me to do it, Steve?
Aye, go for it, Grado.
All right, okay.
I mean, it is yourself after all.
That is myself. Okay. Stephen Andrew Dunn, it's yourself. See, I've got it.
No, they're proper one.
What's that? I don't know how I do it.
I'm joking. Right, Stephen, what's happening with you? How you doing, mate?
Not too bad, I suppose. I've got work tomorrow, so I'm lucky that I was able to do this tonight, or else I'd be stressing
What is your work? What do you work as, man?
tonight, trying to get myself ready for work.
Who do you do, Stephen, for work?
I'm working with an agency. We're helping out at ASDA.
Are you a COVID marshal?
Eh?
Are you a COVID marshal?
No. Basically, they're refurbing ASDA, so I'm helping with like moving stuff around and that. And a lot of the time, it's just stacking shelves. But
Oh, this makes a bit of sense because, I mean, I'm a Morrison's guy. However, Asda's in a draw centre, I frequent that because my girlfriend lives there. And I have noticed that the Asda have started fucking about with the freezers. They've moved the freezers next to the school clays. You know, the DVDs are now where you get loaves. I take it you're part of this big strategy.
aye,
Right.
for the next month or so, I think. And then I don't know what they've got me doing after that. Probably nothing. We're back to sitting on my backside again. Waiting for the rest to come back.
Here's your question, Stephen.
Aye. So I've got a question for you both. Grado, we'll just make up this scenario that ICW is back running and Dallas says to you, you can wrestle anybody you want as a marquee match at Fear and Loathing. Who are you picking and why?
Oh,
Good question.
Okay. Robbie, you get any ideas?
Is this somebody who is currently on the ICW roster? So it's not an import, Stephen.
It can be any wrestler from any promotion.
Right. Okay.
Dallas says to Grado, you can have anybody you want. Who are you going to pick?
All right.
It's funny. Well, the first thing that popped into my mind, the first wrestler that popped into my mind to wrestle, it would be. I mean, I know they've got the WWE guys and all that, and the folk might say Drew again or whatever, but no. Do you know what? I would want to wrestle Colt Cabana again, 100%. I'd like to do like the whole 5. I mean, it's 6 years, is it not? Is it 5, 6 or 5? 5 years, 6 years. Like, I don't know. Something. Go back, bring them out. Ideally, to build the Edinburgh Festival with Dave videos again, and we'd have a match at Fear and Loathing, and it would be serious this time. I'd like to do that because we had a couple of serious matches in America that folk never saw. Well, serious. They weren't serious at all. They were fucking completely fucking crazy. But I'd like to wrestle Colt Cabana again. Is that a good answer? I don't know. Is that good?
This would be main event. It would be main event. Sorry,
this is good. No,
it can be a main event. It can be just a marquee.
I don't like being the main event. The main event's boring. I like being on first. When every counts on their feet.
The main event at Fear and Loathing 8.
Because remember, ICW shows last about 6 hours.
Aye.
So I want and I want my family to be there, and they'll no stick about for some of the matches. So I'd get on first.
You could go old school, and you could be the one that sets the bar and go out first, and then everybody else has to try and top.
That's exactly what you do, man. I love going out first, even on the family shows and stuff like that. I like going out and warming the crowd up and doing my shtick, get them all going, and let the real wrestlers do their work.
Up the road early.
Up the road,
nice and early.
Bath bed.
I like to go out there. If I was a wrestler, I'd want to go out there first as well. When the energy's on in the room, and me and Bingo Balance are out there tearing it up.
Mr. Trick here, Megan.
Before anybody else. Is there a question for me, Stephen?
It's the same one.
It's pretty much the same context of if you could work with any comedian, be it that you're doing a show together or if you're writing for them, what comic would it be?
What a brilliant question that is. That is a brilliant question. I would want to do something.
Bingo Balance is funny.
With Steve Martin. I would want to do something with Steve Martin. That's who I'd want to do something with.
What's his story?
Aye. Get him to bring Steve Martin. See, like, I just love Steve Martin. I think he's still amazingly funny, and I could imagine doing a sitcom, a BBC Scotland sitcom where Steve Martin is this older American man who moves in to... No, he's an older American man who comes over to Scotland. I'm pitching a sitcom now, right? Steve Martin is a guy, an American man who comes over to Scotland to look for his son, who he's heard that he fathered a child who is living in Scotland now, and he's coming to find his son, and his son is me. That's what it would be.
Mate, sorry. See Steve Martin, what happened? Did he stop comedy for years?
No, he kind of still continued to do bits and pieces. But
did you ever see any of that workshop stuff that he done?
What workshop stuff?
Did you see that, John? He done a kind of workshop for comedians, like how.
What, a masterclass?
Masterclass thing.
I have seen his masterclass. Aye.
Oh, it is. Aye.
He was maybe at the Hydro with Martin Short recently, wasn't he?
He did. He was at the Hydro with Martin.
Was he at the Hydro?
Did you see it, Rab?
I didn't go.
Can't be that much, if I.
Mate, don't you fucking challenge me on that. Don't you challenge me on that, right? I had my reasons for not going, which were,
right.
I knew the pandemic was coming.
You quarantining
Stephen,
before it was fucking thing.
Here's a question.
Hey, Stephen, come on. Let's. I want to ask Stephen a question. Why ask Stephen a question?
Aye.
You are a serial killer. You've killed 23 people. You've stabbed them all.
Right, we know that, Grado, but what's your question?
Right, the question is, you're on death row. What is your last meal?
Last meal? It would have... I think it's got to be Walter's favourite. A nice wee arrow.
Yes! That's me on death row now, anyway. Paul, I'm on death row.
Sorry, I'd got the Burniston DVDs over the weekend when I was out with my brothers. So
beautiful, well done,
I
mate.
heard that was Walter. I thought, I've got to get some.
Beautiful, mate. Beautiful.
Did you see any of that money, Rab, for the DVDs that he's seen both at the weekend?
It's 2 pence right in my pocket there, mate.
Tidy.
2 pence straight into my pocket.
Now you're talking.
Now we're talking, mate. Stephen, thanks so much for that, for getting the DVDs, and thanks so much for eating the mint arrows and stuff like that. I really appreciate that. It's weird because there's a mad delay.
You know.
But mate, thanks so much, honestly, and thanks so much for coming on.
That's all right. Is it all right to give a few shout-outs, or?
Aye, totally.
First of all, I want to give a big shout-out to a couple of pals of mine, Craig Benison and Stevie Mack. I want to give a big shout-out to everybody that knows me that goes to ICW. In fact, I want to shout out to all the ICW wrestlers, because I just want to say thanks for everything you've done for the last several years, you know, that I've been watching the show, because, you know, there's a lot that goes on, obviously, that we're not aware of, but, you know, it's always great whenever I go.
I'll tell you something. It's a thing it's easy to forget. It's easy to forget about with the wrestling stuff, about what ICW did. They've got a good community of fans. There's a good community of fans out there, and it's, you know what I mean? And it's like, that's the ICW have done it.
Not being able to go to... Eh?
What?
What was that, sorry?
It's the delay.
You know, Stephen, we're not laughing at you. We're not laughing at you. We're laughing at the
it's the delay that's
it's
coming.
Funny because you're just coming in and going, what? It's funny, mate. It's funny. It'll make good podcast editing.
Okay, well, listen, Stephen, thanks so much for jumping on, and thanks for the support. Thanks for supporting Grado and his stuff, and supporting me and my stuff. We really, really appreciate it, honestly, mate. And, up at Hibs as well.
Okay.
Aye.
Oh, you need to sign up for the Patreon, everybody, to see the video version of this, because of all the freezing and stuff like that, because it's breaking me up here, man. This is funny. Stephen, thanks so much. Well, you need to come on another time when we've got a better connection, right?
I hope so.
What today is, next time you come on, make sure you're in Asda and connect to their Wi-Fi. And we'll maybe speak to you there.
Beautiful. Right, cheers, man. Thanks so much. Right, thanks very much to Stephen, persevering through his connection issues there. Sweet guy, lovely to talk to him. And if you want to be on next week's run-in, best bet is to sign up to our Patreon, as our World Heavyweight Champs get first dibs, Intercontinental Champs get second dibs, and Cruiserweight Champions get third. So get on patreon.com/wrestling daft and get yourself involved. We want to talk to you.
You just made the list!
Right, it's time now for our list of Wrestling Daft. Every week we ask for you guys to vote on our list of Wrestling Daft. This week's Patreons said had to decide between best finishers and worst finishers, and with 63% of the vote, it was the best finishers that won it. So here's my top three, and I can do this like that right off the top of my head, no problem at all. Number 3. Has got to be, you know, it's a finisher that's currently in circulation. It's a finisher that's currently on the go out there, and I think it's just one of the most exciting finishers you can get. Some real high points in matches are built around this finisher, and it's a finisher that's so exciting and effective and great to look at that it's actually become a meme, and it's in right. So what is it? What is it? It's the RKO.
Good shit.
Randy Orton's RKO. Out of nowhere, just love it. Love to see it.
The R Grado, aka the Grado Cutter.
Yes. RKO, you can't beat it. And my number 2 is from one of my favourite wrestlers of all time. It's his finishing move, and it's one of the first finishing moves I felt like I totally perfected when I was a wee guy. It's a finishing move I could do as a wee guy in a heartbeat, and I don't think I'd be able to do it now because I'm an old guy.
Yep.
What is it?
I would say DDT.
Perfect plex.
Perfect plex.
Ah,
well done,
yeah,
John.
bastard. Sorry, pal.
It's the perfect plex. All like that into the bridge, locking it up. And it always just seemed to me like you would do that move to your mate and you would think to yourself, this makes sense. This makes sense that this move would pin somebody. It's very hard to get out. It's very hard to get out. Very hard to break that pin.
I think that at school.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
The perfect plex. My number 2 wrestling move of all time. And my number 1. I don't think this will come as any surprise to anybody. My number 1 wrestling move of all time is whenever I think of an explosive finish to a wrestling match and a finishing move that always makes me think, right, that's the match done. No. When this happens, the match is done. That move has to be what, Grado?
Over. I thought you said them.
that move has to be...
Right, so what the finish is done? Oh, fuck, I don't know.
I've got it.
Right,
You go.
Right, I'll have a bash.
John's got it.
I'm terrible at this. Tombstone pile driver.
John?
Stunner.
The Stone Cold Stunner.
See, I thought that's too easy.
The Stone Cold Stunner is the best finishing move of all time. In my mind, when I think of the finishing move of all finishing moves, it just looks amazing, looks sore, looks right, looks just high impact. It's exciting to watch. It's the ultimate wrestling move. The ultimate wrestling move for me. Obviously, Kevin Owens is doing it now, but it's not the same, is it?
No.
It's not the same. What about you? What do you think? What's your favourite finisher of all time?
God, I like finishers. They're good. They're groovy. I'd say I do like my old finishers. Finishers. I love them all. I like all of them.
You like all the finishers? Let's see what the punters have got. Stephen says sweet chin music. Any other answer is simply wrong.
Because it's the part of the match when you can win. The finisher, the finish of the match should be the finisher. So if I'm going to say what's your favourite finisher, then all of them, because that makes you win the match. You see what I'm going? A bit of psychology there.
Oh, right.
That's something else no would say.
There's the insight.
Right, that's the bit.
Can I ask you a question? Like, obviously, the wee boot is your finisher. What made you choose that as a finisher? Or were you given it, or did you just go, do you know what? I'm like ripping off kind of the Hogan idea. What was your thoughts behind that?
Nothing to do with Hogan. It's funny because when I was when I started training in 2002, I loved Trent Acid, who done a Yakuza kick. And I was like, that's class. So it was like a running high, big fucking mafia kick. And I told Conscience, my trainer, I was like, I want to practice my Yakuza kicks. And he just was watching me doing it. And he went, it's just a big boot. You're running a big boot. Or for you, the wee boot. And then we went, wee boot, the wee boot. And I used to do it at training all the time when we'd do training matches. And it would be so over with all the guys like Big Damo, Kelly and Dane and all that. And I'd start cheering out the band, wee boot, getting everybody going. And that's where that came from. So again, Conscience did lumber me with Grant and Bard, but he also gave me the wee boot.
Beautiful. Like I say, we need to get Conscience on this show at some point.
Man.
You need to get. I feel like Conscience would be into that flight simulator game as well.
He's called. Have you seen his stuff on Facebook? The Pirate Chef.
Aye. Get him on to talk about that. But you should get him into the flight simulator stuff, because I know what his airline could be called, Grado. Conair. Right, so let's see what the punters are saying. Stephen says it's sweet chin music. Sweet chin music, any other answer is simply wrong. Sweet chin music's amazing, right? Scott says Tajiri's buzzsaw kick always looked brutal, but for me, it's the RKO. He's literally built a gimmick on the back of a finishing move, and most importantly, you can hit it on anybody, and it looks believable. My favourite RKO of all time, Seth Rollins at WrestleMania.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. And it's funny, but I always remember when Randy Orton first started doing it, I don't think a lot of people were kind of hyped about it, when it was like, everybody said that it was DDPs and...
Yeah, but he made it his own, didn't he?
He totally made it his own, man, because the RKO is 100 times better than Dallas's.
Right, steady on. James says the Tombstone pile driver still looks outrageous. For effectiveness and iconic status, it's going to be the stunner. The cells that go with it are great. Those were finishers that nobody kicked out. The original DDT is a thing of beauty, now regretfully used as a standard move, but when Jake used it, it was devastating. Good point there.
It's funny, right? Remember how I always tell you about Jake the Snake in the post office in East Kilbride?
Yep.
Taking the training session. Well, we done DDTs, right? And there must have been about 50 folk there. And he would show everybody how to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after everyone, he'd go, No, that's not. Next one. No, that's not. Nah, that's not.
Amazing. And did they look decent as well?
Aye!
But he was
Fuck's
just
sake,
like, nah.
man. Fucking... Fools grannies can DDT.
Brilliant. A good point James made there about the cells that go with the stunner. The Rock selling the stunner is just one of my favourite things to watch.
I like William Regals. I like Scott Hall's.
Yeah. Oh, Scott Hall's selling it.
Do you not like it?
I don't know. I can't remember. I need to check that out.
It was just the kind of like Regals where he didn't go down on his knee. He would crouch down and then
go down in stages
back.
almost, like like explode back after.
Explode back.
Chris says the Judas effect is one I like at the moment. It can look brutal when done well. Always a fan of submission moves. And the figure 4 sharpshooter in a crossface by someone who can't be named looks awesome. The crossface is a great finisher, isn't it?
Problem with the Judas effect is he fucking uses his elbow earlier in the match. It just doesn't make sense. I know, but aye.
I have to give a shout out as well for Kurt Angle's ankle lock as well. I was always a fan of the ankle lock. Keith says it really shouldn't have been classed as a finisher because it was just an elbow, but I think the people's elbow is the best. Yeah, wasn't it? Yeah, it's true. It was just an elbow.
It was a rib, wasn't it, at the start? When it was some cage match that he done, and
yep.
Aye.
It's just a signature move that I'm going to call a finisher. Come on now. Mark says the DDT, as any 90s kid who was DDT'd on it concrete will confirm.
Also, I remember the DDT as well at wrestling training. We were always telling not to do DDTs because
they're dangerous.
Because if anybody didn't know what they were doing, they would just DDT. That's what everybody started doing. If all didn't train a match, DDT.
Right. Chris said Stone Cold stunner every time. Looks devastating, gets a massive pop. Stone Cold was dying a death before he debuted that move at King of the Ring. Special mention to the DDT sharpshooter and the perfect plex. Jonathan says he loves the Canadian Destroyer. I don't like the Canadian Destroyer. Understandably, doesn't he see it a lot? Shout out to the Worm as well. Come on now. Bruised my knees too many times practicing it though. Maybe I shouldn't have tried it after a few pints. Jonathan, you rascal.
Canadian Destroyer, the arse has been ripped out the Canadian Destroyer with everybody doing wee bits. But it was probably one of the best nights of my life when I did it, when I done it to somebody.
I'm not a fan.
You done a Canadian Destroyer, Grado?
Aye, have you not seen it?
Was that against you? Was it against Drew, was it?
It was an AIW. It was, who was it? It used to be in WWE as well, the guy I done it to.
Why have you not done that since then? Why I've never seen you ever do that in a ring.
Because listen, I don't mean to. I'm no disrespecting Grado at all here, but it's the other guy who does all the work.
Yes.
Aye, Michinoku driver, good shout. Alex says the Red Arrow for Neville. Great stuff. Nice to wrestler says loves a classic pile driver, but Kabashi's Burning Hammer is tops for me. Burning Hammer is so good. I didn't want to put it into the list because they're always slagging me off for putting Japanese stuff in. Andy says Rikishi's stink face. The crowd went mental when he did that.
Oh man, you remember that was another one like when your father was in the room watching wrestling. I remember my mum. Who's some with the cellulite arse and he sticks him in the who's that again? Hey, what is he sticks his arse in the other guy's face.
It's always about a beamer on it. Neil, here we go. Neil is making trying to get listener of the week.
And
here.
by the way, Sha was in a 6-man. I always remember we worked with Rikishi. And obviously I was teaming Rikishi and he was like, who's taking a stink face? Sha, me, I'm taking it. And he said it was fucking stinking. He says his arse was rotten.
So Neil says always love seeing a big guy breaking somebody into a classic powerbomb. Mike Awesome's been getting some very well-deserved mentions recently, and his was one of the best. It's also a great move to practice on the kids. Just make sure there's a soft landing nearby. We have really been giving Mike Awesome some love, haven't we, on this show?
Mate,
Ali says, stunner RKO or the diamond cutter. Can all be done dead fast at any time. No big setup. Special mention to the Kurgan face cloth thing. Terrified me as a wee guy. And Karate Warrior 2 says DDP's diamond cutter back in WCW was awesome. Throw in Perry Saturn's Death Valley Driver as well. That was a good finisher.
Love that, actually.
What finisher did you, Grado, hate or love taking the most? Like, what finisher do you hate taking?
No, what I hate taking? Let me think. First of all, what I really like taking is I love taking a super kick because I love doing my kind of timber. I love doing that bump. I first started doing it with, of all people, Ryback gave me a super kick, and it was a fucking peach. And the way I sold it, I loved it. So I've always kind of added that in it. So anytime somebody wants to super kick me, I'm always up for it. You know, ever seen that John Norman Ryback super kicks me now? I'll need to send you that and all.
I didn't even realise you worked Ryback.
And what do you hate taking? What do you hate taking?
Ryback and Motherwell. Do you know what's actually quite annoying to take sometimes is No, what do I think? Oh, man. Sorry. Oh, I can't think now.
This is a difficult question for Grado, because Grado doesn't take finishers. Grado goes over.
Correct.
Grado goes over. Grado doesn't bump. So
if there's anything where I go, you've just got in the back of your mind, like, oh no, I need to take this, I need to take this. I don't think there's much. There's a few folk. There's some folks out there that just will not take German suplexes. They're like, nah, I'm not doing it. Whereas I like taking it. I love taking big moves. Aye, there's folk that just don't want to do it. But I'm trying. Where is there a move that folk? No.
What about like something from the top rope, Grado? See when someone goes up to that top rope and you see you're lying on the floor and you see looking up and they're going to do like a shooting star press or something like that on you. You must be shitting yourself.
Nah, most folk are usually safe. Most folk are usually safe. I wouldn't have any. I wouldn't take it off somebody that I didn't trust or knew that had fucked it up. Most of the times I've been lucky enough to be in there with folk. I'm not going to take it for a guy down in fucking Devon that's fucking 40 staying and I've never seen him wrestle before. It'll be a matter of, you get anything else? Do you get anything else? I really want to do it. No, if you get anything else,
yeah. Beautiful. I love hearing that shit. Right, you want Wrestling Daft merch, you've got it. You can have a Wrestling Daft t-shirt, hoodie, phone cover, trucker cap, one of your range of Grado-inspired bum bags at shop.spreadshirt.co.uk/Wrestling Daft. On there you'll find designs such as Alexa Who's Graham Stevely, I'm a Mark, Crud, Chips, Cheese and Doner Meat, and I'm a Wrestler Tay. And you can even get a face mask to wear at the shops as we continue through this terrible pandemic. So check out our range at shop.spreadshirt.co.uk/Wrestling Daft and be in the groovy gang with us. And check out the links on our Facebook page or Twitter at Wrestling Daft. Now, before we come to the end of the show, we need to jump into the Wrestling Daft DeLorean and set the time circuits to a date in the past as we watch a classic wrestling match. This week, Grado chose Johnny Storm versus Jody Fleisch for CZW Best of the Best 2 in 2002, and I am so sorry, Grado, I haven't watched it yet.
What?
I promise I will. I promise I'm going to watch it, but I didn't get a chance to see it.
Have you ever seen it before?
I haven't seen it before.
I watched it, Grado.
Right, okay, John.
I thought, like, you can see, like, in 2002, that is an absolute incredible match. But it's just like, this is where, and it's like you're going back to talk about storytelling and all that. Seeing that the first time, it's amazing, but it is just a standard NXT match now, isn't it?
It's mental, I know.
It is just a standard. But imagine that, Eric, having that kind of NXT kind of kicking out, do that at that time is unbelievable. And it is absolutely, you can imagine seeing a match like that for the first time going, fucking hell. Yep. I've got a question for you, Grado, on it though. How much do they think they went, obviously, they didn't call that on the fly, but how do you think they actually stood and like practiced that whole match through?
I would need, right, so Johnny and Jody probably at that point had already worked each other about 100 times. Oh, Rab, you all right?
Rab was going.
Sorry, carry on, boys. It's just my internet. I don't know.
Oh, right.
Keep talking.
So Johnny and Jody, I think at that point probably had wrestled each other well over 100 times at that point, and I don't know this for sure, but I would imagine that the two of them were training together and probably working at each other Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, wrestling each other on a Saturday and just creating spots and adding stuff to it to the point where they go, let's do that spot. They might call it something, they might get a wee nickname, and they'll probably just play into the point where they've got that much that when they're in there, they can give each other the egg and go, right, it's time to do that. Right, I know we're going to do that there. If somebody sells to one corner, I know what's coming next. We're going to get in this wee spot, just to kind of set each other up.
Right. So you don't think they would have rehearsed that whole thing? Then it would have just been
no rehearsed. No, absolutely no rehearsed. No, they would have been backstage and then maybe try stuff. Right, let's see how that works. Right, add that in, and they'll just go to it. Never. I would say they would probably put it in, have an idea how they're going to start, and then. No, even have a middle, or just a look would be called, right, let's do that, let's do this, and then they'll get into their they probably remember exactly their falsies or their false finishes. They've probably got that up their sleeve ready to go. But the reason I'm saying that is they're so many matches, but a lot of it was different as well. Because he came up to Kelly. I remember the first time I seen him Kelly, and it was nothing like what they'd done in Best of the Best, but it was still amazing.
I'm on to pad for you here, Grado, because internet has dropped out. But I've got a question for you, because this is really another surprising thing for me, that you liked a match like that, because I know how much you're into your storytelling and all that sort of stuff, that a match like that kind of grabbed you.
Aye. No, right, so that's a good question, because up to that point I had seen 90s WWF, really that's all I had been exposed to, and then you see that and you go, wow, right, that's cool. And then I was obsessed with that for a good 4 or 5 years. That was my thing. Like, Ring of Honor came out and I loved that fast-paced stuff. Loved it. And then as I got older and I went back to watch the old stuff, I got fed up of watching the disco dance and stuff and loved more of the sort of storytelling, slowing the facials, the selling, the how crisp the punches are. It's more to do with, because really, before I started training, but even when I did start training in the early years, it was still just watching wrestling and no really taking it in. It was just watching it and being amazed. Whereas time went on, when you're watching matches, you notice just wee things, and you take wee things from like how they sell, fucking taking a punch and selling to the ropes and using the ropes to get up, and that's what I was more into. And you can get more experience and more ideas watching the old stuff where it's slowed down more than what you can get, especially for my style.
Yeah,
you know, I'm not going to be doing what they do. Do you know what I mean? But I can maybe get stuff off Dusty Rhodes 80s and how he works a match back then. So I suppose I just got fed up with watching that, and I felt as if once you've seen that, you've seen them all. That type of idea.
Aye.
Because as much as like I remember when Ospreay and Ricochet came out. I remember sitting down watching Cancun, and I really had to turn it off after 5 minutes. It's not because I don't like that shit. It's just because I've seen all that and wow, it's magical. But I'd much rather have a slow, steady, no slow as such, but more exciting, hard hitting drama rather than.
Yeah, well, that's what you get next. You know, Rad just had a message in from Rabs, who's basically just said his Wi-Fi's died. So can we wrap up the show without him? So we'll go to some of the listeners. Paul watched the match. It says been seeing these for two for years and totally forgot Johnny Storm had hair.
That's a shout.
Crowd were going mental. Back when I first seen this on the wrestling channel years back, I'd never seen anything like it. Totally groundbreaking. That 720 debut finish was a thing of beauty. 5-star match.
Yep, I definitely agree. For it at its time, it was something else, and as I say, it did inspire a lot of the Yanks to follow that sort of style.
You've worked with them before, Grado. Who was the kind of people that approached them and sort of said, "Well, this, you guys laid out the blueprint for me"?
Oh man, I've heard loads of people that say, even if you hear interviews, or it's more specifically if guys come here for America, a lot of them saying, "Oh, Johnny and Jody," and it's amazing. I can't pinpoint exactly who has done it, but I have seen guys where I think to myself, even guys that have been in WWE and they're maybe coming out for a show, like for example, somebody like I don't know who can I say, who's like somebody like Trent Barretta, somebody like him. I can imagine him walking up to Johnny and Jody and going, "Wow, it's a pleasure to meet you," because that stuff happened all the time. The amount of guys that were they gave them excitement and how they were going to how they structured the match. They got a lot of it for Johnny and Jody, definitely, without a doubt.
Definitely.
And it's funny as well. Like I always remember as well, because if you watch the early Chris Hero stuff as well, what he used to do in Cabana as well, they would watch like the old world of sports style. They really got that kind of sort of wrestling style. Chris Hero had like fucking something like 60 hours of British wrestling, old school British wrestling, all the Johnny Saint matches. Who else? Fucking
Daniel Bryan was really influenced by it always. But did he come over?
100%.
He worked over the holiday camps, didn't he, Daniel Bryan, at one point, didn't he?
Aye, because he knew about Dixon. It was somebody over there that probably told him, go out and work the circuits with Dixon and do the... Because you've got guys that worked for All Star at the time. James Mason, who is a fucking great wrestler, who is now training the folk at NXT UK. He was working on the... And guys like Dean Allmark as well, who work the camps, and they get that experience of working the British style. So there was so many. That's why Hero done it as well. Cabana done it as well. They came over in the early 2000s to do the British style. it was totally heavily influenced by the world of sports stuff.
Oh, brilliant! That's right. So Rab's internet has dropped off, and he's meant to be picking this week though. But have you got something you want to pick out again?
Well, do you know what? See how you were telling me, I was explaining how that's what I was obsessed with for a good couple of years, that kind of Johnny versus Jody style of wrestling. And then I kind of seen another match where I went, wow, this is cool, this is different. And it was Ring of Honor in 2005 when Ring of Honor flew Kenta Kobashi to New York. I'm sure it was New York. I'm sure it was in the Manhattan Ballroom. I could be wrong. It might not be. I will double check. But Samoa Joe versus Kenta Kobashi, Ring of Honor in 2005. I'm sure Dave Meltzer gave it 5 stars. And really, this was one of my favourite matches of the 2000s. I mean, there are better Kenta Kobashi matches out there. I'm sure that Rab would definitely agree. But the atmosphere, because you're used to seeing Kobashi in the Japanese setup scenario with the fans, but the atmosphere here, you've got the indie after nut Yank fans, and I'm telling you, they beat the absolute shit out of one another. The chops, the slaps. So it really was cool to see a Japanese guy go all out on an American show. Definitely worth your 5 stars. So I would advise you to watch that next week.
So that's it for the show. Minus Rab, I've had to pick up the duties of presenting. Grado, we need to pick a listener of the week. Who's getting the strap this week?
Listener of the week for me is Scottish Wrestling Network. I'm sure it was for coming up with Total Non-Stop Aviation. I might actually call that. I mean, my Twitch channel is currently Captain Grado, but I might put in brackets Total Non-Stop Aviation. I love that.
Talking about Twitch, are you up and running with Twitch so we can point all the listeners out so they can join you in your flight?
Should be up. I've got a lot of work to do this weekend. I've got to learn a Robbie Burns poem for Monday, which I'm in the middle of doing. But look out for it, Captain Grado on Twitch. Start liking me or following me, whatever. It's bare bones, but I should be up there even because you can go on Twitch just to talk to punters, can't you?
Yeah.
Aye, so look out for it.
There we go. So look out for that. So well done, Scottish Wrestling Network, friends of the show. They win Listener of the Week. Thank you very much for listening to Wrestling Daft. Remember to rate, review and subscribe on Apple, because the more you rate and review and subscribe, the higher we get up the charts, so we can aim for number 12.
And a shout out to the Rumble Pack reviews on Twitch. I totally forgetting to the guys on the show who were I come on the other night to speak on their show. So the Rumble Pack reviews on Twitch, got to give them a shout. I kind of done a run-in of my own on their show because they were reviewing my TNA career, and I thought, well, I'm going to sign up and join them. They all shut themselves when I joined the room. They're like, but it was funny, man. How you doing? Because at first they were going, his username's Captain Grado, and they were like, well, this username's only been made the other day. They were like, nah, this is somebody's at it. But nah, I tweeted them going, it's me, I'm Captain Grado. So they let me on their channel. It was funny, so shout out to them.
Brilliant. Well, you can go and catch that, I'm sure, on Twitch right now. Remember, we go twice a week now with Wrestling Daft. You'll get Grado and Rab, the main event, the headliners on the Friday, and you'll get us marks on the Tuesday, more of the kind of, superstars kind of programme. So you can get that. We've got bonus episodes dropping really soon. Grado's going to be doing the shoot review, interview with Rab, which I'm really looking forward to doing. That'll be funny. And we're doing our first Dafty Awards. Me, Alex and Gary will be doing the first Dafty Awards this weekend. Hopefully get that dropped out onto all the channels this weekend. So thanks very much for listening. Remember, get on Patreon, see the video version, see Grado's. You can see the belt. If you go on Patreon, you can see what's that belt behind you, Grado?
As the PWE World Heavyweight Champion, but I think once Adrian died, we decided to call it like the Scottish Wrestling Championship in his honour. So I'm the current title holder. We'll see. I want to defend it in his honour, but you'll be able to see my room. I've got my wee Grado doll, which I've had them since the start of the pandemic. I don't feel like it's right to kind of flog merch during a pandemic, but I will eventually get around to selling them.
There you go. So that'll be coming soon. So get on board. You can see all that up. Patreon.com/Wrestling Daft. Check out the video version and get a t-shirt as well. shop.spreadshirt.co.uk/Wrestling Daft. Well, I've not got a catchphrase, so you're going to have to do Rab's and yours.
No, why don't you take Rab's place? Come on, do the 11 part. No, is it 11? No, what's it says up the road?
I say, it's your cell, and you go,
oh, up the road!
Up the road, 11.
It's yourself up the road. How dare.
Audio Frontier.